Welcome to Phil's Fitness Show, and it's been a while, but hopefully you've missed me, and we're back in business with some really good high quality videos coming your way, full of wonderful information starting from today. So today I want to talk about some methods about dieting that's worked really well in the past for a lot of my clients. We're going to talk about 3 dietary methods. The first one is going to be calorie counting, the second one is intermittent fasting, and the third one is, I've just kind of made this up myself, to be honest with you, but it's worked in the past. It's called 3 meals per day. Sounds very basic, but trust me, it really works, and I'll explain in depth about it all a little bit later on. So before we delve into it, I want to talk about how weight loss actually works. I'm going to touch briefly on fats, even though I actually hate them. I'm not going to talk too much about them, but we're going to talk about why weight loss works in the first place. So what we've got to do to achieve fast, effective fat loss results. So fat loss, weight loss actually works when we're in a calorie deficit. So basically what happens there is we've got to consume less calories than what we burn off on a day-to-day basis. So let's take me for example. If I was to consume 3,000 calories in my day, if I was to consume 3,000 calories, that's all my coffee, that's all my food, that's all any extra snacks, everything else. If I consume 3,000 calories, but I only burn off 2,500 calories, then I've got 500 calories extra that will be stored as fat. It is as simple as that. If I only burn off 2,500 calories, that could be my walking, that could be my gym, that could be whilst sleeping, everything in that 24-hour period. If I overconsume 3,000 calories, but I only burn off 2,500, I am in trouble. I'm gonna gain body fat. However, if I flip that round, if I burn off 2,500, but I only consume 2,000 calories, I will lose fat, because I need 2,500 calories worth of energy for me to do whatever I've done in my day. But if I only consume 2,000, then I need to borrow from there 500 calories. Does that make sense? Hopefully you're still with me. But anyway, my 3 dietary methods that I'm going to go through today, that's been a massive success for myself in the past and for a lot of clients. Number 1 is the absolute basic scientific method that you can do right now to achieve fast, effective fat loss results, and that is simply calorie counting. I use an app called MyFitnessPal, and that is brilliant. MyFitnessPal is basically an app where you can monitor your food intake, and it tells you how many calories are in absolutely everything from every food item you can think of. MyFitnessPal will also give you a very good guide on how many calories it recommends you to consume as well. Of course, it can be a little bit generic. It's got to be suitable for 15 million people who've actually downloaded MyFitnessPal. So if you need any extra help to delve a little bit deeper with your calorie intake, or if you're struggling, then please feel free to drop me a message on Instagram, on Facebook, reply to this on YouTube as well, and make sure you drop me a message and I'll help you a little bit more. But number 1, it is calorie counting. But it isn't for everybody. I've had clients in the past who have potentially had bad relationships with food, being very obsessive with making sure every calorie counts. They've been very obsessed with the scales, and it becomes a little bit too much and it starts overtaking their day. If that's the case for yourself, then I do not recommend calorie counting, because it starts having some bad side effects mentally and it's not really worth it. Okay, so you can focus on your other 2 methods. But if you're new to this and you're keen for some fast, effective results, then make sure you calorie count and ensure that you are in that calorie deficit. Make sure you're monitoring how much food you're consuming, and make sure however much you're burning off is higher than what you're consuming. Are you with me? That is probably the most effective way. Now, before we go to the other 2, I'm going to delve a little bit deeper with the calorie counting side of things, and why I do actually recommend this, probably the best one. I use a method called the 80-20 split. Now, you might have seen me talk about this quite a lot, but the idea behind the 80-20 split is, let's talk about myself again. Once again, I'm burning off 2,500 calories in my day. If I want to lose weight, it needs to be less than that number. So I need to make sure I'm only consuming 2,000, let's say. But if I want to stay on track, I still want to enjoy myself. I still want to have social events. I still want to go to a chicken Nando's. I still want to have the odd little bit of pizza. I still want a beer on the weekend, and I still want to get results. Then the 80-20 split needs to be incorporated into your calorie intake. So what happens there is, I want you to imagine 80% of your food consumption, which would be 1,600 calories out of the 2,000. That comes from wholesome foods, very minimally processed, very high protein, very good quality foods. So what that does then is that the 20 which is 400 calories out of the 2000. That 400 calories can be then used for whatever the hell you want. I want you to understand it's only 20% of your intake. You're still in a calorie deficit, so you're still going to promote weight loss, but the 20%, which is 400 calories in this case, can be for whatever you want. A little Mars bar of a night time. It could be a little packet of crisps, could be a little glass of wine where the kids are finally in goddamn bed. That works very well because it keeps you on track and it makes sure that you still have a little bit of a treat, but you're still getting results. Hope that helps. Number 2, intermittent fasting. Now, before we go into it properly, I want you to remember calorie deficit is the only way weight loss can work. So intermittent fasting is nothing special at all. What happens is that we pretty much just skip breakfast, okay? That's what people tend to kind of call it these days. But skipping breakfast is not going to reignite any special fat loss. So don't think just because you're intermittent faster, it means you can get away with murder. It doesn't at all. What happens here is that you will tend to fast for 16 hours and consume food for 8 hours. So for example, my 8-hour window would be, or what's been quite effective in the past, is 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's the window where you can consume food. But please, for God's sake, don't be an absolute zoo animal in these 8 hours, otherwise you will still gain weight because you will be in a calorie excess. But intermittent fasting, what it tends to do, it just gives you obviously that morning where you don't consume any calories, and then that 8 hours where you consume food. Because it is a short window, the chances of you over consuming your calorie intake is very minimal. So therefore, it's a very good method to stay in a calorie deficit without worrying about how many calories you're actually consuming. So I would say that what you do consume in that 8 hours, very high protein content, get all the veggies in, and make sure you still eat with common sense, but don't overdo it with all the crap food, okay? So yeah, intermittent fasting is number 2. The third dietary method, which is, I'm gonna call it the Phil diet to an extent, because I have no idea what it's actually called, but it's worked wonders in the past. The third diet is simply 3 meals per day. That's your breakfast, dinner, and tea. Of course, what people tend to mess up with when it comes to trying to lose weight is that they overconsume with the snacks and the unnecessary bits of shit in their day, or could even be a couple of drinks of a night time. Once again, when the kids are finally in bed, you sit down on the couch with your partner, you have a little bottle of wine. It's very easily done. It's the snacks and the alcohol that will do all the damage to your progress. I absolutely promise you right now. So the 3 meals per day, what's gonna happen is that you're gonna have meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, and you do not consume anything outside of those 3 meals. So in these 3 meals, very good protein, loads of veggies, good carbohydrates, and make sure you make it obviously very, very tasty as well. Breakfast does tend to be a bit of an issue for people because it's always like toast or cereal, or a croissant, or a bacon butty. Try and stay away from things like that. Remember, you've got 3 meals in your day. Do not waste that first meal on something which is gonna barely touch the sides, because you're gonna struggle. So once again, every meal, we want high protein. So we want roughly 40 to 50 grams of protein per meal. So in the first meal, the breakfast meal, you wanna go for something like chicken sausages, a bit, or even potentially a bit of a full English. For my breakfast, I tend to have 4 chicken sausages, 2 eggs, a bagel, and beans. It's a lot of calories, but I'm not having any shit in the day, remember that. And it's very high protein too. Your dinner and your teas, once again, get some sort of protein source. It could be chicken breast, it could be fish, it could be beef. If you're a vegan, you might struggle with this, it might not be for you, but make sure you get a protein source and a carbohydrate source and a veggie. So once again, chicken, fish, beef, could be potatoes, could be rice, could be pasta, could be home cooked chips, and loads of veggies. That's the 3 meals per day, and that is guaranteed to work. I actually promise you on that one, okay? It's always the snacks and the unnecessary bits of alcohol that will do all the damage to yourself. Right guys, hope that's helped. That's my 3 dietary methods that you can implement right now and find out which one is best suited for yourself. Remember to monitor your weight on a weekly basis, because if one isn't working, you might need to change to the other one. So make sure you weigh yourself on a weekly basis, make sure that weight is dropping, make sure you're losing body fat. The importance for this is making sure that you are in that calorie deficit and you're having high protein. That's the main factors behind these methods, okay? Go and enjoy yourself. Hopefully you get fantastic results. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and give this video a thumbs up for me, and share it to anybody that might need the help on getting themselves back on track. See you soon.